joined by Kelly Ling. Hello.
Hello.
Dennis, Nick.
Yes.
You guys are here to show off probably the most beautiful game we've seen today, in my opinion. We were bragging about the loading screen right now. Ni no Kuni 2.
Yes.
Tell us about this journey. How did we get here?
Okay, so the game follows the story of Evan. So Evan is a young boy king, and he is his father has just been killed, and so he has to take the throne much too early. He's not ready for that yet, but he has to assume the throne. But unfortunately, at that time, he doesn't really have the confidence or the experience to really lead the kingdom, and so a lot of the subjects in Ding Dong Dell really, they're not confident in his ability to lead. So at the very beginning of the adventure, there's a coup that takes place. And so I guess I should have mentioned that Ding Dong Dell is a kingdom with cat and mice people. So
Cat and mice
people. So and so there's a coup that's staged by the mice people. And so it's a nefarious guy named Mousinger. And so he takes over and he basically kind of kicks Evan out, chases him out of his kingdom, and he takes over and assumes the throne.
Is this a direct successor to Ni no Kuni 2? Is this the same story, the same world, the same characters?
It is not. So it's a brand new story, brand new characters. Everything's brand new.
No Drippy?
No Drippy this time. No Drippy. There is a new mascot that we've introduced at E3, which we'll get into. We'll show him a little bit later. But a little to continue the story, and what we're showing right here is so Evan then has to go on this adventure. So he needs to earn the right to become a leader of a kingdom in the world, and then he also has to learn how to become a king. So he gets different people along the way that will help him. So what you see on screen here, there's two other characters. So there's Roland and Tawny. And so Roland right there, he acts as kind of a mentor for him to kind of teach Evan what it takes to be a good leader. And he comes from another world where in that world he's actually a president of his country there. So he already knows what it takes to become a leader. So he ends up mentoring Evan because of Evan's kind of pure heart, and he really wants to help him.
Got a lot of free time for a president.
Yeah. Well, when you get transported over to that other world, you
trips.
don't really have much else to do there.
Fair enough.
How much of this is actually voiceover? Is it the entire thing like this, or are there some cutscenes where it's not?
Most of the cutscenes, all of them are voiceover.
That's really
there's little bits where they're not, but a majority of it is voiced over. A lot of that is because Level 5 really wanted to make sure to kind of engross the players into that storytelling and just build that whole story, because it's not just the really elaborate cutscenes, but it's also that as you're going on that adventure, all of that is really building those building blocks that create the whole story. So they wanted to use that artistic talent to make sure that when players are playing the game and they're playing through all these cutscenes, all these different parts in the game, that they voiced over so much of it, so you feel like you're watching an animated movie.
Well, you said artistic talent, and I mean, when I think Ni no Kuni, I think Studio Ghibli. Yes. How is it like working with them? I can't even imagine.
So for Ni no Kuni 2, a lot of what we call the dream team of the development staff from the original Ni no Kuni returns for Ni no Kuni 2. So one of the mainstays is Yoshiyuki Momose, and so he was an animator and a character designer at Studio Ghibli.
Oh, okay.
So he worked on Grave of the Fireflies, Whisper of the Heart, also Spirited Away. So so he brings his talent with the character designs and working on some of the animations for the game.
Conceptual character design?
Yes.
That's great. So it really feels like you're actually playing like a Studio Ghibli movie.
Yes, because all the characters have that kind of same look and feel. And then,
What are these? What are?
So those little guys there. So those are the Higgledies. So they're Higgledies. So they are brand new.
Oh my God!
For
You just the hell out of them. Did you see that?
yes. So they're brand new for Ni no Kuni 2, and so they are spirits that they have different elementals or elements that they are based of, and they end up helping Evan on his journey as well because of Evan's pure heart.
How do you get these?
So you recruit them as you go, So
Each individual one or the types?
the types.
Okay.
So you get them individually for the different types. So there's like what we have in the E3 demo here. There's fire, wind, water, and then there's kind of like it's not exactly earth, but it's kind of a non-elemental set of Higgledies. That's that pair there. So in combat, there's, at least what we've revealed so far, there's kind of two main uses for the Higgledies. So one of them is when you see that light circle show up, if you get into that circle and you activate them, you issue them a command, they will give you a buff for you and your party. So they can do different things, like they can increase your defense, increase your attack.
Cool. It's not just elemental attacks. They actually provide support for you as well.
Exactly. So the water ones will heal you, and then the fire ones will they'll produce a fire shield. So, which is useful in some of the boss battles that you may or may not see soon here. So they have different buffing abilities that you can use. They also have their own kind of AI and animations that they do in interacting with enemies and the bosses as well. But one other use for the Higgledies is so the player can utilize these skills, and so Evan just did one of his skills there. And so what you can also do is you can charge up and you can use the Higgledies to augment your skills, and then like what he's doing right now, and then the different Higgledies that are close to you, they will jump in, and then those elements will be added to your skills. So that will help you inflict more damage, inflict different elemental damage, or it can do things like, for Thog, it can do something where you can stun him, and then you can knock him out of getting ready for a big attack.
So there's no one way to play this game. There's a lot of customization with it.
There's a ton of different customization. There's so many different ways and so many different strategies you can have in the combat. It's just, it's up to the player on how he wants to play the game.
I'm guessing you can choose how you want to upgrade each one, right? So if you want to focus on one special type of Higgledy, can you make that group a bit more?
There are different ways to I guess not to augment, but there are different ways to kind of expand on how you use the different Higgledies.
Sure.
We haven't gone into the exact detail of how that works quite yet,
okay.
But there are different ways to accumulate more in different ones and then make them stronger and different skills, different attacks.
And what are they called?
Higgledies.
Higgledies. Now, besides the Higgledies, we have two party members here that are helping us.
So here, Roland and Tawny are both helping out in the party, and so there will be different characters that kind of jump in and out, although there are kind of the mainstays that are there for most of the time. And the players, you can swap automatically between any of the characters in your party during battle. So, so for the E3 build, for this version, we locked it to Evan because we want the showgoers at E3 to kind of really get used to playing as Evan. But at any time, Nick in the full game, he'll be able to swap between any of the characters at any time.
Oh, so you don't have to play the main character if you don't like his fighting style,
exactly.
really. But would you be able to control the
Higgledies?
The Higgledies.
You don't control them directly. Those you just issue commands to them, and then. But you can't control them as an actual character.
Why change the combat system from the first one?
So the combat system in the first one, the one thing that was, at least what they did was, it was partial real time, and then at the same time you issued commands through menus as well. So it kind of had those two elements to it. And so part of that was with the familiars, which were a main part of the first game, and you had to issue commands to them to do different things. And level 5, when they looked at all the different parts of Ni no Kuni 2, they really wanted to see how they could invigorate or kind of redo a lot of different things for Ni no Kuni 2. And one thing they wanted to do is to rebuild the battle system from scratch. And so by having everything be real-time, no menus, anything like that, they really felt like they were immersing the players into the combat.
Okay.
How much is there to really distract the main player? You have the main storyline, obviously, but as you wander throughout this world, are there different things to take your attention away and distract you? Mini games or ways to recruit other members that are not part of the main story?
So there are a lot. And so here at E3, we've actually just teased and we talked about one of the new modes, which it's not a mode like a totally different game mode, but it's kind of one piece, almost like a mini game, but actually it's not a mini game at all. That was a bad description.
Mini game, but not a mini.
But not a mini game. So it's almost like the meta game for this RPG is the Kingdom mode. So the Kingdom mode, I guess if I roll back a bit about the story. So in the story, Evan, he does end up earning the right to rule a kingdom. And
Nice.
once he has that, and that's actually what happens right after this trial that Nick just played through, right after that, then he is able to be a ruler, but he has no kingdom because Ding Dong Dell was taken over by Mousinger. So because of that, Evan goes through in the game, his next main big quest is to create his own kingdom. And so at that point, the players are also going out on that journey, creating the kingdom.
Do I get to create
so
the kingdom?
You get to create.
Can I name it?
We haven't. We're not talking into that much detail of what you can do,
but
there's
you
a lot
can't,
you can
can't
do.
just tease us
But
and then
you
not
can.
have us ask questions.
Yes, I know.
Can you
can
customize the
customize.
building of it?
You can.
Oh.
Is it a resource management?
There's a light amount of resource management.
Okay.
So what we have revealed here at E3 is that you will be recruiting different people, townsfolk from other kingdoms and from different areas in the world, and then you recruit them into your kingdom. And then you can give them different tasks in your kingdom, and that will help you build up and basically build up your resources for your kingdom. So you kind of build it up as you go. You customize it as your own. And so in the story, while Evan is building up his kingdom, you as the player are building up your own customized kingdom in the game as well.
Does who you choose to help your kingdom affect the story at all?
So the story and the kingdom building, they are tied together, but they're not integral to them, to where you have to do very specific things, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 in building the kingdom in order to progress in the story. There are elements that kind of bounce back and forth, but but the kingdom building is kind of a side thing that you'll be able to do.
Whoa, what are we looking at right now?
That's a large boss.
So here you are looking at Longfeng. So one of the other kingdoms in Ni no Kuni 2 is Goldpaw, and so Goldpaw has a I guess what to say. It's not quite a guardian, but it's almost like a kingsmaker, I guess is what it's called in the game. And each kingdom in the world has, of course, a kingsmaker or a kingmaker. And it's like a guardian of that kingdom.
A spirit guardian or like an individual, a person?
A spirit guardian.
Okay.
And so, and that kingmaker forms a bond with the king or the ruler of that kingdom, and then they together kind of are one in ruling and protecting that said kingdom. So Longfeng is the kingmaker for Goldpaw, which is another kingdom. And for some reason in the story, which we don't go too much into the story, but we're just showing this to show the battle and the scene, is he ends up attacking the kingdom instead of protecting it. And there's a reason for that. And then Evan needs to jump in and help and basically defeat Longfeng so that he can help protect that kingdom.
I see a spiky-headed little dude. Is that our new mascot?
So the spiky little guy, he's the new mascot. So his name is Lofty.
Lofty.
And so
Drippy and Lofty. You guys like the Y's at the end.
Yes. And so Lofty is Evan's kingmaker. So he's the one that he forms the bond with, and so now basically once they do that, both Lofty and Evan are both a potential king or potential ruler and a kingmaker, but with no kingdom, and that's where the kind of the kingdom building.
It's adorable. It's like a small fry.
Yes. So he's very small, and it was when Evan kind of finishes that trial, the trial of courage, and then he's like, okay, I'm going to get my kingmaker. And a lot of the other kingmakers, like you can see, like here, Longfeng, he's very big and menacing and strong. And then when he finally is introduced to Lofty, then it's almost like, oh, that's him. Wait, I expected like a really big, really big, strong.
You think of like spirit guardians protecting the kingdom.
This is so impressive. I'm seeing like MMO mechanics in here, right? Like there are like certain mechanics I'm used to seeing in different games where certain things drop down and you must defeat them before they blow up and wipe your entire party. There's the giant AoE attack that you can't survive unless you shield up. So the entire thing is being so dynamic in the battle that you have to adjust on the fly. It looks like you can't just stick to like mash, backdash, mash, backdash.
So a couple of different things. One thing with the combat system that it's not something that really, I would say, plagues action role-playing games, but when you have a role-playing game, and a lot of how you progress is typically you level up to get stronger. Once you're at a certain level, you generally are strong enough to either defeat a boss or defeat a dungeon or things like that. And then when you have real-time action combat in a role-playing game, then there's that kind of that work that you need to do as developers to say, okay, well, if I level up my party, my characters, then actually what I'm doing in real time, the action, my skill actually doesn't really matter, because if I'm strong enough, I will be able to defeat whatever I need to defeat. And if the action portion and your skill in battle actually 100% or very strongly affected how you could defeat enemies and progress through the game, then the leveling up actually becomes less important as a whole. So striking that balance is something that Level 5 has been working very hard on with this. So there's a lot of different things that you can do in battles that are typical of more adventure games, and some of even like fighting games, and different styles of games where they let the player's skill actually influence the outcome of the battles, but still respecting the kind of leveling of the characters as well. So they strike a very nice balance between the two. So like right here, if Nick doesn't cast the fire shield, which was there, so then now he'll have to dodge all these fireballs. Where if he had activated the fire higgledies right there, then he could just stand in the middle, prepare attacks for Longfang, and those fireballs would just hit the fire shield and they wouldn't even damage him at all.
See, I like games like this that are rewarding skill level by being punishing.
Yeah.
Like it punishes you. Like earlier, he missed his face. Like he would like because there was a straight on like
Fire
attack,
yes.
and he got hit by it, and his health bat evaporated.
Yes.
From that. And so it's telling the player, look, if you don't do well, then you're gonna get hit really hard
Yeah,
for it.
definitely. And there's so many different strategies that you can implement, because the characters themselves have so many different attacks that they can do. They have their skills. You can use higgledies to boost yourselves. You can use the environment in some areas.
Oh.
He has both short range and long range attacks. There's you can when you're using the higgledies and you use them to augment your skills. Like there's so many different strategies you can use. And then in addition, a lot of the boss characters, similar to Ni no Kuni 1, had something where they could, where you can, if you find the right path in to like stagger them or you interrupt them from certain attacks, then you get the chance to really go in and lay a lot of damage.
You can learn the
on them.
patterns of the bosses.
Yes, exactly.
The higgledies, they spawn these circles. Can you control the circles that spawn, or is it random?
So it's spawned with the higgledies AI.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I was about to say. If you're low on health, how do you know that the blue ones are going to give you the healing?
Yeah. So the blue ones will always do the healing, but they won't always have it. They will. There's an AI for them to do that, but then the players also have skills where you can use that as well
Okay.
to do healing.
Same thing like, I want the fire shield to go up against this dragon, but what if it doesn't spawn right away?
You may not get the fire shield. then.
Ooh.
You may or may not have that.
Is
so
the fire shield persistent, or is it time-based? Because I would
It's-
definitely want that in this fight.
it's time-based, so
Oh,
it
no.
lasts for around 7 or 8 seconds. So
So
typically,
there's even a level of RNG in this game.
a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit. And so, and then
nice job.
you can
Yeah.
execute spells by when you fill up your meter, which is those little blue stones, or in the menus on the left. So as you land attacks to enemies, then that will fill up, and your short range attacks, so your melee attacks, will fill it up faster.
Oh, nice.
And so actually this
Stagger.
is something, so he staggered him, and so that gold ball, if he picks that up, if he can get to it,
There you go.
picks that up, now he's super powered for a short amount of time. So for this time, all his skills are augmented with like super higgledy power.
Oh, wow.
And so that happens, and he's extra strong.
Because that was like an endurance battle up until like right there.
Yes.
He went
and
Super
so-
Saiyan.
Yeah.
You just did the Dragon Ball interview.
Yes.
I'm
We're
sorry.
kind of still hyping him.
Exactly.
You know what's interesting too is that it took him that long. No offense to you, Nick, obviously.
No,
is
of
that
course
it took him that long to actually do the stagger. So
Yeah.
it's showing like the risk reward
risk
system of it,
reward.
like because it was right after the flame attack. So you take
Yeah.
that risk to get in close, dodge it just for that one lucky strike right there. Where if you mess up,
If
get
you
by
mess
health.
up, you get hit by
Yeah,
those really strong
That's
attacks.
sick. Are all battles like this? And the
Um,
endurance portion that where they're
a-
it could be
A
long?
lot of the boss battles they could take a really long time if you kind of go through the strategy of, I'm going to do a couple melee attacks, and I'm going to roll and dodge and,
Sure.
and run away. But then you can speed up all of the battles, the boss battles, by going through and finding the other strategies and the weaknesses of those bosses. And if you watch, there's all kinds of little animations for them, and not all of them are even combat-based. They're just fun to just add character to all the different bosses and characters in the game. So.
The boss battles in here, are they all restricted within a certain region, or are they open world, or are they open world bosses?
So the bosses that we've shown so far have all been restricted into an area, but the dungeons as a whole are opened up to where all the monsters are just kind of roaming in there free. And so you don't have that typical for a lot of role-playing games where you kind of do that random battle in and out.
Yeah.
And so when you're in a dungeon, it's like a full dungeon. It's all built, all the enemies. You can evade, run,
But will
fight,
there ever be
whatever
a
you want.
boss that's available in that kind of dungeon setting?
The bosses will show up, but then it will kind of wall you off into
Okay.
an area.
I don't know if you were looking for like a secret boss kind of thing. Like
I really
Like-
I mean, because this offers a
Like
lot
an
of like
NM in
dynamicness to
MMO.
the
Yeah,
fighting.
exactly.
Exactly.
Like NMs and
That's-
MMOs.
giant
like-
1 million HP boss.
Yes.
You go,
That's what I was
I should
looking
attack
for.
that. Are those? Can you talk about? Are those there?
Special
They
bosses.
We have
So I
not.
smile?
We have not talked about anything.
It's there.
of
It's
that
okay.
sort,
We won't
so.
say anything.
So what else is there that differentiates this from the first one besides like the combat? Is there anything else that you haven't touched base on that you really want to get across?
Well, I think we've talked about the story, the characters, the battle system, completely different.
Kingdom building.
Kingdom building is all brand new. That meta is completely different. A lot of what was brought in from the different that dream team, of creative talent. A lot of what they brought in is really kind of adjusting a lot of how they do that synergy between music and visuals and story and gameplay and weaving that together. And they've really been working to elevate that from the first one. So you can see visually, it's just so beautiful. All of the cutscenes are done in engine because the in-engine work looks like like theatrical quality animation like in a movie. And so that is something that is not brand new, but it's different in Ni no Kuni 2 to where all those cutscenes are done in engine and in game, so it doesn't really pull you in and out of.
Oh, there's no
the different
anime
styles.
cutscenes?
There's no anime cutscenes because the in-game
Nice.
engine looks like it's hand-produced
Animes.
anime.
So it's all just seamless the entire
Yes,
time.
yes.
Nice. So people who are here right now who are watching this, where can they find you here at E3 to see more of this?
So the Bandai Namco booth is in the, actually we're just close by, so we're in the South Hall, kind of right in the middle. If you are in the middle of, if you go down the main aisle, we're all the way in the back. And so we have 8 stations for Ni no Kuni 2 set up.
Nice.
If you, the last time I looked before we left for here, the line was really long. But if you can get through the line and play the game, we also have, while supplies last, we have a limited edition steelbook case that we're giving out that is going to be available for the people who enjoy the game here at the show. And so that's something else we have, and yeah, and the game's looking great. It's the response has been phenomenal for the game so far.
And when's that come out?
So the game comes out November 10th, 2017, and it's on PlayStation 4 and on PC via Steam.
And where can they reach you on social media to read more about it?
Social media, we have our Bandai Namco. We have our Bandai Namco Twitter and Facebook pages. We also have a Ni no Kuni Facebook page. And then you can go to our web pages, either the Bandai Namco Entertainment corporate site, which is Bandai Namco ENT.com, so we shortened that entertainment, or you can go to ninokunigame.com.
All right, dude. Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Nick, you were great. I'm proud of
Thank
you.
you.
did
Thank
this